Hello. For week 2 of the course, one of the things that we asked you to do is to complete the knowledge tree. The knowledge tree is a way for you to look at the discipline in which you're designing your unit plan and from the perspective of how it fits into the vast realm of knowledge that mankind has developed and organized so far. And it's a way for you to make sure that the lessons that you're doing are truly authentic to your students and to make sure that you're truly placing it in a way that a professional in that field would utilize it. Because really what we're attempting to do in school is to give students information and knowledge and skills that can be applied in the real world. And we want them to begin to behave and to think and to speak like professionals. Now, albeit these are inexperienced professionals, but professionals nonetheless. And so the knowledge tree is the first step, because what it asks you to do is to look at how that particular topic that you're teaching fits into the real world, as opposed to a discrete unit on a discrete piece of literature or on a discrete mathematical topic. How would an engineer use it? How would a literary critic use that material? How would a playwright actually implement something that you're teaching in your English class in order to develop a work that would truly be applicable to the marketplace? And so if you look at page 94 in your textbook, in the multiple menu model textbook, one of the things that you're going to see is that there are a series along the bottom of vast topics. One being logic, another mathematics, the third is science, the fourth is history and humanities, and the fifth being philosophy. So the place to begin is by deciding where does the topic that you're teaching fit into that field. Once you know that, then you're going to be able to branch from that large topic down to subtopics. So, for example, in the realm of science, you may find that your topic is a science field. More specifically, it is in the field of earth science. More specifically than that, it might tie into geology. The next thing you need to ask yourself is, what aspect of geology are you going to be covering? So, if you are looking specifically at sedimentary materials, who are the experts that would actually use that information? Would it be someone who is researching riverbeds in order to determine the best method of dredging them to allow water flow in order to keep a dam moving? Or would this research be done for someone who's attempting to locate a particular sedimentary level within a period of time in order to understand the archaeology or the biology of the materials that are in that sedimentary layer? And so you need to start thinking about not just the big field that it's part of, but as that field narrows, who are the professionals that would be connected to that? And so your knowledge tree allows you to make connections as you funnel it down from the big topic down to your narrow topic, but also allow you, depending on the subject that you're researching, to make connections perhaps to other fields. So you may see in yours that there's a connection between mathematics and science if you're going to be doing some sort of psychological research where the psychology is the science, but it also relies heavily on mathematics for the statistical portion of it. And you'll be able to show that correlation to your students. And the idea is if your students know where to place that information, if they know how to categorize it, then the students are better able to develop a taxonomy of understanding in their own mind. And so that's our goal behind the knowledge tree template. As we look today at some of the knowledge trees that are in your textbook, we want to talk about some ways that you can make your knowledge tree particularly helpful for you and helpful for your students. Again, as I mentioned in the last video, one of the things you want to do is to identify where your specific discipline fits within the larger context. And so if you look at the example that's on page 20 in your textbook, one of the things that you're going to see is that it begins with history and humanities. Obviously, history and humanities is a very broad field. Well, within that, our example is wanting to look specifically at the realm of archaeology. And to get there, one of the things that she realized was that you move from history to the study of history itself, which is pretty broad. There are those who study history and write about history and do so in a very academic sense. There are other folks who are researching history from a psychological perspective. There are individuals who are using history as a source for writing, which would move you in the direction of the humanities. But in this example, they moved from the history and the humanities specifically to the study of history, and directly from there into the investigation and the methodologies that are used by professional historians. And this is important because this is a different direction than a lesson that is simply teaching students information about history, but now the lesson's focus instead moves towards teaching students the actual skill set, the methodologies of those practicing professionals, so that the students can become amateur historians and they can use that information for themselves to actually conduct some research. Within the area of investigating and researching, the move was then to look at a specific way to do so, and the direction that was selected was archaeology. Now, one of the things you'll notice is in that top level category, there's a whole slew of directions that our example could have gone. They could have studied heraldry or geography, linguistics, epigraphy, chronology, but instead the focus moved to archaeology. And what that allowed the teacher to do is that when she put together her knowledge tree graphic organizer for the students, she was able to point out that this is simply one method of understanding history, but that there are many others out there. The student sitting in the classroom then begins to have some respect for the material because they know that it's based in real-world applications, and that prevents the question, well, why do I need to learn this? Additionally, what it does is it allows the student who is particularly interested in the realm of history to know what all the other careers are, to have words for those, to have an idea of the opportunities that actually present themselves to him or her. And so having this graphic organizer really helps students identify what it is that they're about to learn in the next several days or several weeks, and to be able to place it in a way that allows them to connect from this unit to maybe the unit that's going to get taught the next month and the unit that will be taught the year after that. That as they go throughout their academic career with you in their school, they'll begin to understand that they've actually covered archaeology, they've covered linguistics, they've covered literature and the humanities, that they'll begin to understand that they have been taught a whole variety of disciplines. And also importantly, they'll be able to see the connections. If you look in the back of your book, there is an example there as well. Looking on pages 110, 111, and 112, you'll see the unit looking for a hero. And so that unit, one of the things that it does in its knowledge tree is it demonstrates that the field of psychology is actually a combination of two distinct fields, both coming out of the sciences. It's the junction between social science and life science. Because obviously when you're looking at the field of psychology, you are beginning to explore the biology and the chemistry of a live human being, and additionally you are trying to understand their behaviors and how they behave within systems. Because human beings are not individuals alone, but they are individuals within a system where they're interacting with other human beings, they're interacting with their environment. And so, in this particular knowledge tree, it points out that psychology is that junction between life and social sciences, and then also shows that there are three distinct areas within psychology. So when you go to design your knowledge tree, it is okay for it to branch back out. It is okay for there to be connections made between two distinct areas where they merge or there's a juncture. What you're attempting to do is to show your students exactly how that information that you're going to teach them fits into the grand scheme of things. Who uses that information, how it's used, and why it's used, so that the students, again, have a reason, a justification for why they should attend to what it is that you're about to teach them.